Welcome back to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we talk about critical issues in the blindness community. I'm Aaron Richmond. Tonight, like all other episodes, is copywritten by me, Aaron Richmond, and Aaron's Opinion. Thank you. You can watch us right here on YouTube, where so many of you do, or listen on iTunes or wherever you get a podcast. 1240 6819869. Aaron's Opinion 6 at gmail.com. Comment below, follow on Facebook, Twitter, and even consider becoming a patron on my Patreon page. You guys are going to be very, very entertained and laughing hysterically about this guest tonight. If you know, and you don't know my story, so if you, Mona, if you knew my background, you would be like, what you would be trying to figure out why on earth am I talking to you. So, if any of you know my background, you know that I'm blind, and I do, by the way, for record, have a bachelor's degree in international relations from Goucher College. And um, throughout my university, I had a lot, and education, by the way, I had a lot of challenges and issues dealing with discrimination and dealing with professors. And I must be quite frank and say that I'm not going to go out of my way to talk to a professor. So if you know me, you're thinking, what are you doing talking to a professor? Well, as hilarious as it is, we're joined by someone that I had never known, never knew of, until I saw your post on Facebook shared by a friend. Mona Minkora is a professor of bioengineering at Northeastern University. She, of course, is blind. Great honor and great pleasure to have you on the podcast this evening. So
I'm honored to
basically,
be here. I'm honored to be here.
yeah, yeah. So basically, um, we can talk about anything you want, from your work at the university to your travel to your YouTube, how you got going in podcasting yourself, and things, and things like that. So where do you want to begin this journey of an episode?
Well, actually, yeah, let me ask you this first.
Sure,
So
sure.
you said you came across me because of a Facebook post. What was the Facebook post about?
It was a post from a friend of mine who was already on the show, and he apparently shared a post of yours or shared a video, which got me interested in planes, trains, and canes. And that's how I found out about your channel, to
That's
which
awesome. Yeah.
I had never known about the channel. That's why you never really know when you're recording these episodes who they're going to affect and where they're going to wash up, because posts get shared around randomly, posts end up in strange places. So, you never know how much uh, influence one recording can have. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to hear that that happened. So just to let everybody know, as you guys heard, my name is Mona Minkara, and I have a YouTube channel called Planes, Trains, and Canes. And let me tell you, how about we start off by me telling you a little bit about Planes, Trains, and Canes? How does that sound, Aaron?
Tell me, tell us.
Okay. So 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, I was invited to be a judge for this prize called the Holman Prize, put out by the Lighthouse for the Blind of San Francisco. And when I first got the invite, I was like, "Ooh, a judge? Ooh, what's the Holman Prize?" Like, I had no idea. So I called them up and I was like, "Explain this to me." So they broke it down. It was the first year that they were ever doing this prize, and it is a prize of $25,000 for any blind person who has an ambitious idea. And I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay, sure. I'll be a judge." So, they flew me out there. This is, pre-COVID, 3 years ago. And I got to read the most interesting and amazing applications, right? People from all over the world applying. They had, the way you apply for this prize, actually, first you create a video, you upload it on YouTube. So you can definitely check out all the submissions to the Holman Prize from when it first started until now. And they narrow it down based on interest, but also based on the quality of the written proposal. And when we were out there on the judging weekend, it was like narrowing it down from, I don't know, 30 down to 3. Those were the 3 finalists, that won. And I was blown away, right? I was just blown away by all these ideas. So I remember flying back on a plane, going home to Boston. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. And I was like, what would I do if I had that opportunity? What would I use $25,000 if I could, for an ambitious idea? And I remember thinking, I would do travel. I think travel's awesome. And I was like, but traveling in and of itself isn't that ambitious. I travel all the time. How would I push myself outside of the boundaries? Because that's part of the requirements for this, grant or, prize. And so I remember thinking, I know I would use and highlight one of the most valuable things to me, things that I use all the time that really expresses and allows me to be free, which is public transportation. So I came up with the idea of Planes, Trains, and Canes, which is a YouTube series. When I proposed it, it was a 5-city tour around the world where I travel independently as a blind individual and use only public transportation. And then we see what happens. So I actually proposed it. I can't believe it. I proposed it in 2019, and I actually won. And I got to travel to Johannesburg, London, Istanbul, Singapore, and Tokyo. And I got to experience one hell of a ride. I don't know what else to say. Definitely, guys, check it out. It's Planes, Trains, and Canes on YouTube, or planestrains.canes.com for the website that we have.
Or click the link in the description for more information. I'll put the YouTube.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, let's make it easy for all.
So now I've done a lot of traveling myself. I've spent a lot of time in Europe, actually. I lived abroad for 3 months, studying in England. I studied at the University of East Anglia, which I would highly recommend. It's a wonderful place. I would go to England any day. I don't know if I would still go given the current circumstances, but then again, England's pretty perfect. So maybe even in today's world, I would still be willing to go to England. England's a wonderful place to study. And as I said, my academic background is in the field of international relations. So I took courses there for 3 months. It's a really, really good experience. I've also been to France because my second language is French. I'm a French speaker. And I've been to basically all over Europe, from Amsterdam, Austria, Germany, Poland, Czech Republic, all over that. And then I've also been to Swaziland, now known, I believe it's Eswatini, and that was a really good experience. I've also done some volunteering in the Caribbean and places like that. So I agree with you. Traveling, I've done it so much, I have less desire to do it now, but I still think it's a life skill, and I still think it's an amazing opportunity, and I still think it's overall beneficial.
Yes.
So what was, I watched, the Johannesburg video. There was some crazy, crazy stuff on that video. But in all of the cities you've been to, Mona,
Yeah.
what was the most what was the most interesting thing that ever happened, or the most kind of the biggest moment where you really stopped and thought about society? What was it for you in all of the cities combined? Just one moment.
Honestly, it was Tokyo. I remember at one moment standing there, because of all the technology and the system in place. I was like, wow, I don't really need any eyesight to get around here. And that just blew my mind, that I actually genuinely felt that. And that was very enlightening to recognize that systems can be in place. And it was just amazing for me to actually feel that. It was in the public transportation. The trains have different melodies there. I mean, it's a whole thing. They have audio. I call them audio signals, audio markers for like the bathroom, exits for crossing north, south versus east, west. I mean, Tokyo is just another level of accessibility. It was amazing.
Okay. Now you're an engineer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as I know, engineers basically study and make things work, right? You solve problems, you make things work, correct?
Yeah, in theory, yes.
Okay. Why hasn't the United States, and I don't know the answer, it's not my field of expertise, why has the United States not provided all of these different accessibilities that you've seen in Tokyo? How does that
I mean,
work?
that's a really good question. I mean, that's a really good question. I don't know. I think there's a twofold situation. I think
Hmm.
Tokyo built its infrastructure with many different people in mind. I think they came at it with accessible to all is a more efficient system overall. There were more blind people, according to my camera woman friend Natalie Guzzi, walking around in Tokyo than there were in all the rest of the cities combined. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And when I got back here, I was spoiled. I was like, oh, Boston. And before that, to me, Boston was top, like it was a system that I grew up with and I love and I knew inside and out. Still do, but Tokyo is just another level. I mean, we're talking about like 30 different lines and every line had a different musical tone and the tones differed whether if you're more close to the center of the city with a traditional musical tone versus the college areas which had youthful tones. I mean, it was like the level of detail was unbelievable. I think it's culture, different cultural, importance.
I don't know. I've never been to Japan, so I don't know. I mean, did you have a chance to have a conversation with other blind people in Japan, blind Japanese people, to ask them, so was Tokyo designed with the intent of aiding blind people at first, or did it become that way over time? I mean, those are kind of two different things. I don't
Yeah, I mean, I
know.
don't know.
I don't know of any city where the urban planners decided we're going to build this city just for blind people. I mean,
No,
no
no, no,
city,
for
no
sure.
city,
But
no city is like that.
no, but for sure. But I think it's definitely something they've systemized in Tokyo and Japan. It's just like something, you just install a cane guide. You have a construction site, you have a temporary cane guide around the construction site. Like it's just something they've thought of. And I have to clarify too, this is the public transportation. But restaurants that I went to in Japan were completely inaccessible. So there's also a difference there. Maybe there's a difference between the public access, versus private entities like the restaurants.
Right. And the other thing about Japan that I do know is that there's a stipulation in their constitution that says that the government is not allowed to restrict movement. So they know that could be a lot of it. They know that they have to be able to allow blind people to move freely around the city.
Interesting. I did not know
Yes.
that. That's interesting.
That
I
might
mean,
be that might be part of it. Now the menus in now the restaurant issue. Well, I don't know. Do you speak Japanese?
no, I don't. But I'm talking about even not just the menus. Like it was just a lot of the restaurants were automized, like completely just automized. Like you go, there's a wall of buttons. You order by pressing the buttons and then you pay like a vending machine. They give you a receipt, you wait online, you wait until like something is buzzed. Like it's all very visual and like you barely interact with people, which makes it harder to, you know as a blind person to do any of it. And then the buttons were not like in braille or anything.
Hmm.
So there wasn't like it was a very automatic process. Was one of the restaurants. The other one was this the sushi conveyor belt. Very cool. Like I'm not putting the restaurant down, but definitely needed the help of a sighted person.
Right, right. One of those sushi bar things where the sushis roll around on the plates and you take the plates that you want, you eat, and then you keep taking, and then they keep paying. You ring up a bill
Yeah, and
based
then
on
you
the.
put the plate in a little hole, and then you play a game apparently, and then every 5 plates you get a chance to play a game. It's like a whole thing.
I see. I see. They have a whole. They have. They have a whole. They have a whole culture. I see.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's really interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, like it was awesome on public transportation. No place is perfect. That's the truth. But I think that there's elements in a lot of different places that if you brought together, like I think I say this, like it would really be a very like inclusive, accessible experience. I think that was something that I got to experience. I picked up knowledge every place I went.
Hmm. That's really really important, really interesting. So, if you want, let's step back to the bioengineering. So, exactly what is bioengineering? How did you get interested in that field in particular?
Well, that's a really good question. So, I mean, long story short, I've always wanted to
That's
be a
okay.
scientist.
You can make you. It's a podcast. So I'm trying to get you to talk. So let's make a short story longer.
No, no, I mean like literally long meaning 33 years worth. That's how old I am. Still living the story. Um, but I've always wanted to be a scientist ever since I was a kid. You know, I was literally I'm a PBS kid. Like, I have to give credit to that. I watched Magic School Bus and Bill Nye the Science Guy. I wanted to be Miss Frizzle when I grew up, and you know, to experiments with Bill Nye, like it really played a big role in who I became. And then I was diagnosed, but that didn't shift the fact that I loved science. And so I kind of just pursued that path and got my doctorate actually in chemistry. So even though I'm a bioengineering professor, my training, my doctorate is in theoretical chemistry. So, so, and actually, I was at the quantum theory project at the University of Florida, and then I went and did my postdoc at the Chemical Theory Center at the University of Minnesota. And now what I do is I use my chemistry modeling skills to look at the air-water interface in the lungs. So I look at a substance called pulmonary surfactant, and I try to understand what's going on. This is remarkably important and relevant, not only for diseases I started before COVID hit, but now also has some relevance to COVID, of course. So that's what I do, and I love it. Like I do research and I teach.
It's perfect. That's so good. So good. Um, so what, so do you teach like bioengineering classes, or is it several different courses that you teach at this university, or
I'm
what do you,
actually teaching one class right now, and it's biomolecular dynamics and control is the name of the class.
good to know. Um, whatever, if that works for you, great. And why would why would students need to take that class? Is that one of the required classes for the engineering degree, or why would they take that?
Yeah, it's a required core class, I believe, for the bioengineering degree. Yeah, it's basically chemical kinetics and like how do biological systems move? What's the dynamics of them?
Very, very interesting.
I
I
think so.
must, as I confessed before, I must confess again that I am someone who has had in my lifetime, I have had basically zero interest in science, but and thank you for doing that work. That is, I appreciate that. That's really
Thank you. Like I do it because I love it too. I'm
that's so
glad that I
good.
have this opportunity. I mean, I had so many people try to deter me from this path, but
Well, let's talk about that a bit. I think that's a fair conversation to have because I think that a lot of blind people, myself included, might have been deterred from pursuing a career in science. So basically, what made you? Where did you get this desire to work in this field? In other words, I work for a company where I teach English online or something like that, and the shortcut that my company creates and that I help to maintain is to provide English lessons and English teachers to students living all over the world who might not already have one. Right? Everything in life, Mona, whether you like it or not, is about what shortcut can you give me, or what shortcut can you create. So basically, what shortcut do you want to invent, or what problem do you want to solve for society that uses your knowledge? That's the question.
ooh, I don't have the answer to that just yet.
Ah, that's a good answer. That's a fair response. Um, that's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair. I mean, for me, as and when my teaching work, for me, it's very clear what the problem is that I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to help people give people more knowledge in English, oftentimes so that they can pursue higher levels of education. So, you know, for me, the shortcut is kind of clear. But then again, I've been working for the company for 5.5 years. So, 5.5 years ago, I
Yeah.
didn't, I didn't, I didn't know about that. I just wonder because it seems to me, and this is probably again, by the way, as you can tell, I'm highly biased. Obviously based on my, as I'm kind of alluding to, based on the various forms of discrimination that I've overcame in my life. I'm kind of one of these guys who thinks, by the way, this is nothing about you, obviously, but
No, 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 no.
I just think that usually when people become professors, just in a general sense, there's usually some bigger dream, bigger goal. There's usually some
Yeah,
big
so
problem.
I'm gonna verbalize to the best of my ability an answer to your question. My ultimate goal, it kind of happens in like, there's tiered answer to your question. I would love to use my knowledge, right? Like from a scientific perspective, ultimately to be a scientist, to truly understand the air water interface in the lungs, right? To understand polymerase surfactants, to be able to synthesize a more effective polymerase surfactant for disease, to help with all lung diseases using my chemical theory knowledge. In order to do that, right, I need to solve the problem of how do I have my science accessible to me as a blind person. In order to do that, I need to build systems and solve the problem of not just having actual tools, but having a supportive system and cultural shift to allowing more blind individuals, if they want, to pursue their dreams and passions in general, but also in science, and to have educational systems that feed into that. So, does that help answer?
Yeah, may I provide our friends at home with a translation?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so what she means is basically, you want, for on one hand, you want to use your chemical knowledge, your chemistry knowledge, to be able to eventually provide better health care to people who suffer from lung diseases. True?
True.
There we
Yes.
go. Okay, number two, because of your blindness and things that you've had to overcome, you want to be able to inspire other blind people to pursue the STEM field or any field that they desire, right?
It's more, that's kind of like a third step. The second step is, in order for me to do the science that I want to do,
Right.
I need to figure out how to do it.
Right.
So there's
So
like a
by
nesting dolls of
Okay, so
problems I
but
want to
so
solve.
but see, you're already engineering my question. See, what you want to do is, by doing all of those things, you'll be helping a lot of blind people, and you'll be helping everyone else, because you'll be providing knowledge and more opportunity to people. So that's kind of how I view it from my teaching perspective. We're giving knowledge, we're giving opportunity, and we're solving problems. Now, you want to solve healthcare
Yes.
problems, you want to solve engineering problems, and our academic backgrounds are completely different. I only have a bachelor's, you have a doctorate. There's no comparison between the two. I'm not trying to make a comparison because it's not possible. But
No.
what I'm saying is, it, philosophically, it's similar. We're
Yeah.
giving what we're the problem that we're trying to solve is that not enough people have knowledge who are deserving of it. And some other people have healthcare problems that would be really good to solve. And all of these problems are doing the right thing. All right? There you go. See, now you have the answer. Next time someone asks you in an interview, you know what to say. Okay. Okay. Very, very good. Very good. Yeah, I've met a lot of engineers, and you all have your engineeries that you guys like to speak. This whole
The funny thing is, my training isn't even in engineering. My training was like theoretical. It's all like in the theory behind it all. But
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, but
I think
still,
we're just engineers as blind people by
that's
default.
that's an interesting, that's a really interesting statement to make, and I think that's extreme. I think that's very true. Extremely, extremely true.
Mhm.
Um, so okay. Every teacher has some interesting students. Have you had the privilege of teaching any blind students? Did any blind students sign up for
Not
your class?
yet. I've
Um,
not yet. Not yet.
that's really interesting. It would be really interesting to see the no pun intended, the chemistry between a blind professor and blind students in a class about engineering. That would be really fascinating to see what would come up, what would occur. That would be really
I've
interesting.
had the most I've had is a kid of a blind parent who shared that with me, and that was about it. I've had a deaf student in my class,
That's it. That's
um,
excellent.
but no blind students yet.
Hmm. I see. I see. So was this kid as you called them? You know, they were probably 18 years old, so they weren't really a kid. But were here's a really good question. Did that kid ever compare you to their blind parents?
I have no idea. I mean, clearly there he was like, my mom is fascinated by you. Like, how do you do it? And like I think you know, he reported back to his mom. Like, um,
That's
but
funny. That's, you know, probably as you can, you know, as you can tell, I'm not from Boston, you know. I'm not from your neck of the woods, but
yeah.
probably if I was, I would know who you were. You probably are very well known in your community up there at Northeastern. I'm just not from that.
Not
I'm
yet,
more.
not yet, Aaron. Slowly, maybe. I don't know. I kind of stay in my office, like, you know.
Oh
Uh,
well, of course, you know, all professors are are very antisocial, especially the engineering variety.
I feel like I feel like have you met a lot of engineers, Aaron?
I have, and they've never really our personnel, like the personality that I have and the personality that they have. It's like two different personalities. It doesn't really work, you know. But I admit I'm pretty strange too. I have my own, I have my own character. I have my own persona to compete with. So, you know, I do understand. I do understand. But that really fascinates me. And so something that I'm sure I already know the answer to this, and obviously you don't need to get you know, personal with it, but
Yeah.
in your work at Northeastern, have you faced any pushback from other, you know, sighted staff who maybe were just, you know, not okay with having a blind person on their staff? What have you found about that? What do you think?
Well, so in terms of from the staff perspective, like my department is supportive. My colleagues are awesome. I mean, in order for me to apparently have even gotten a job, it was at least 2/3 of my colleagues who have wanted me there. So like I feel like in specifically my department, and my colleagues, like they've been great. You know, honestly, I didn't really get to know them very much yet. I've only been here for a year and a half, but what was really interesting, the first time I ever taught my class, which was last spring, I did a survey at the end of the class because you know it was a really interesting pedagogical study that I also kind of ran, and one student wrote in the anonymous survey, but actually like he identified himself afterwards. He shared that his parents were mad when they found out that I was blind. They thought that
That's interesting.
yeah, they thought
See,
that he was going to be gypped, but eventually informed them that it was one of the best classes he's had. So I mean, I'm like, oof, I'm glad I didn't know on the first day of class, right? Like it's just like
But
obliviously taught.
you know what? I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I think we need to talk about these challenging things about society and the way that society perceives blind people. So what it comes down to, the answer to that question is yes. You kind of were judged. You were judged by that in that
Oh
way.
yeah,
And
totally. I mean, people are
in
always judged, right? People judge each other even when they're not blind. They're like, "Oh, who's this new person?" Like,
that's okay. That's true. I'm not disagreeing with
but
that.
I
But I
stick
think
out more, you know. I stick out more because of my
well, but
cane. And
the difference that I have found in my own life is that the judgment that I face is more negative and more discriminatory, and the judgment that sighted people place on each other is more, I don't know, less discriminatory and more playful at times. I don't know. It's just sort of different. It's a different type of discrimination. But yes, you're
I also think it comes
you're right.
down to the individuals who are judging. I think some people are just remarkably harsh and mean sometimes, you know, and you know the parents of that kid might have felt that way about a deaf professor. Like who knows, you know, or might have felt that way um, about something else. Like it's just yes, it our blindness is put out for discussion a lot more because it's so visible for people and they start discussing it.
I think that's exactly what it is. I think the blindness issue is it's more noticeable. Sighted people still face some discrimination, but it's less noticeable.
I
Or
mean, an African American would tell you maybe otherwise, right?
of course they
So
right.
because
Absolutely
it's
they would.
visible, and there's sighted black people and blind. I like what I'm saying is when somebody wants to judge, they'll find something to judge.
That's you got that right. That's 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, but blindness is definitely something that's out there for people to discuss. It's not like something private, like it's
Sure. So
I
we should
I,
so we
I
sh-
teach differently. I have to teach different. Like I am standing in front of the classroom and lecturing in a completely different style.
Good, excellent. So what is your style? How do you manage that?
I am very interactive. I stand up, I demand a response from my students, I ask a question. I'm usually lecturing from memory. Um, I'm not just usually, I am lecturing from memory. Like, it's a very collaborative effort between me and the students. And I want that. I could easily just talk at them for an hour and 40 minutes, but I don't. I want to know that they are engaged. I want to know that they're responding to me. Yeah. So I think that's like and there's, ground rules, and I like to give I love to give the space for everybody to have a voice. I um, allow for questions. It's a very interactive process.
Right. Sure. Sure. Well, that's really good. And how are you spending your time when you are not lecturing at the university?
Researching. I'm researching, and I am traveling. Hopefully after COVID. Before COVID, I did actually all of Planes, Trains, and Games in 2 weeks in December of 2019, and then 2 months later, COVID hit. It was just unbelievable timing.
It was very strange. I am glad that the largest. Well, I'm not glad, but the how do I even phrase it? The silver lining or the less bad thing is that a lot of the problem of COVID, the height of it was seemed to be in the spring, so at least I could get out of my home more, walk around my neighborhood, with my dogs and stuff like that at that point, so that was a lot better. But it is, I am glad that I'm signed up to get the vaccine. So,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, are you?
Not yet. I mean, I'm in a queue somewhere at the university, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, well, I hope that you get the vaccine. I have
Yeah.
spoken to my doctors, and they think in my case, they think I should have it. But everyone's different, so um, who knows? Who knows?
No, I think we should all have it for sure. It's just a
Well,
matter of your
well.
turn.
Okay. Let's just for podcasting sake, let's just be careful. Let's say that everybody should talk to their doctor, and everybody should decide for themselves if it's right for them. Okay, I don't disagree. Considering my background and my lack of scientific knowledge, I shouldn't be the person telling you. I shouldn't be giving any information about vaccines. But yes, in this case, I think they're good, and I think that this is an example of the proper use of a vaccination. Okay, but yeah, I am very frustrated about a lot of different things. But I'm pleased that I didn't get the virus, and I'm pleased that I'm on the list. So if I can just not get sick and get the vaccine, I think that would be a step in the right direction.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Seriously. So okay. And what about your language skills? How many languages do you speak?
Oh, I only speak two fluently. So Arabic and English.
Very good. And were you born in Boston, or were you born overseas?
I was born in Maryland actually. So I was born in Tacoma Park, Maryland.
Uh huh.
My parents are immigrants from Lebanon.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
they know French. So there you go. And I know a little bit of French, but nothing that I would consider knowing.
Not enough for you to be able to speak.
No, un petit peu.
Okay, I see. Yeah, some Lebanese people still speak French. Some of them do, but most do not. Yeah, I'm noticing that too with my students from the Maghreb. Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. Those used to be huge French-speaking countries. Now, some of the students still speak French a little, but mostly they just speak Arabic. Yeah, I had I had one. I do recall one student at one point. He was from one of those North African countries, and he could, what was it? He could he could only understand me if I spoke to him in French. He could
Huh?
only he could only understand writing if I wrote to him in English, but he could only speak to me in Arabic.
Wow. Amazing.
That happens because the three languages blend together in that region, and then sometimes you have people who learn a little bit of each of the languages. So it's very
Yeah.
funny to have a conversation with three languages, none of which are perfect. So that's very funny. Yes. That is. So what are your plans for Planes, Canes, and Trains? I mean, are you continuing to upload content? Are you going to get into podcasting? I mean, what are you really going to do with that?
Honestly, what I'm really hoping is that we get more viewership and maybe we get funding for season 2 and I get to continue with more actual episodes of Planes, Trains, and Canes. In the meantime, we're trying to see if we can produce like short, funny videos or informational videos or get content that we shot but we didn't use. So we'll see. So definitely stay tuned.
Okay, but so you said something interesting. Funding, as in funding for you to do more recordings where you go overseas and do more traveling, or like,
Yes, the whole thing. It's the travel plus the editing, the video part, like all that. Kind of like what we did with season 1, which was funded by the Holman Prize.
right, right.
It'd be nice to do another season.
And where would you go if given the chance?
Oh, we already did kind of the strategy behind that. We would want to go to Lima, Peru, um, Morocco. What else? We wanted to go to Stockholm and the Philippines.
Very interesting choices. Why Stockholm, Sweden? Why Sweden, by the way?
Literally on their website, they claimed that their public transportation is fully accessible. So I always try to hit one city that's aiming for this level of accessibility. And Stockholm literally had that on their website. So I was like, we have to go and see if the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
Okay, proof isn't well. Let's see if the proof is in the pudding. Okay, all right, all right. That is all extremely interesting. Well, that's really good. What are some other places you've traveled to, like just around North America, around our region?
Oh, I've lived as an adult, obviously in Boston, but Florida and Minnesota. I have been to like Washington State, California, like Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Florida, drove all the way up through South Carolina, um, Maine, all the way down to Virginia, like all those states in between. Um, some Midwest. God, the Midwest is just big and vast and kind of empty, but like Ohio, Indiana, I'm trying to think. Yeah, Wisconsin. I don't know. That's it in the United States. That's a lot, though. I think that's a lot. What do you think?
I think that's really good, especially Florida. I think Florida is a great place. Much better weather in the winter for sure. A much more mild climate
Yeah.
in the winter. It is a little.
I do have to say though, 5 years was enough. It was, like I was like, it's good. I'm good. I don't think I'd retire here though.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of would like to live in a climate that's a little bit warmer and a little bit more mild.
Where do you live right now?
Well, near Washington D.C. I can tell you all about it off the air, but near Washington D.C. area, where we have super hot in the summer, super cold in the winter, and then the unpredictability in falls and the spring. So it's a little, I find our climate is a little strange. I'd rather be freezing cold the whole year or burning up the whole year, but not four different things the whole year.
Minnesota would be the worst place because it is frigid. Like it is the coldest place I've
Well,
ever been to.
I know that. Well, I know that, and I've never been there. So
And
you tell
it's
me.
really hot in the summer. That's what's crazy about it.
Wouldn't surprise me. That
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me.
Only
But
2 months that are temperatures that are like reasonable.
I see. I see. Right. Right. So, are you going to get into podcasting? Have I inspired you? And be honest.
Podcast? I've had a friend who's been telling me that I should do podcasts. And
Well,
I'm gonna be very
what about your friend? What about your new friend Aaron Richmond from Aaron's Opinion? Can I say Mona? You should do a podcast. Can I say that?
sure, you can say you can say that. I don't know what I would talk about. And then
You don't know what you would talk about. You could talk about. Mona, come on. You can talk about chemistry. You have unlimited content. Okay, you can talk about chemistry, talk about biology, talk about engineering, talk about travel, talk about blindness, talk about society, talk about your complaints, talk about Boston, talk about Northeastern University.
yeah, so you think podcasting would be like a nice thing to get into?
I think it's a
There's
perfect.
already cool people like you. I don't know. I feel like there's so many great podcasts out there.
I appreciate it, but us successful teachers and us successful podcasters, we want to compete with you, Mona. We want the competition in the market. So because that would make podcasting better, it would help me if I had other blind people competing with me in the marketplace. It would be a healthier podcast ecosystem. So I want you to create a podcast to produce your own content.
Yeah, it
It
sounds
would
like
be
a lot of work, Aaron. I'm not gonna
a lot of
lie.
a lot of work. A lot of work? Do you hear yourself right now? Do
But
you hear?
my day is saturated, as you said. Like, I
Well,
don't know.
well, okay. I mean, it's really no work at all. I mean, I don't even have a master's degree, and I teach, and I started this YouTube channel and podcast. Okay, if you have a PhD, you can start a podcast. Trust me. It's
But
like
it's a matter of the work, like the work to do it. I don't think it's like, you know.
I no, I totally get that, but I promise you, you would benefit from it. You would enjoy it, and it's actually once you get into it, once you have a channel and a following, you were asking how you could expand your channel. Well, one thing to do is to
Yeah.
create a podcast where you interview other blind people. I don't know, and then upload the videos, and then over a period of time gain a following that way. I don't know.
Well, I actually do want to interview
Me.
people who have interviewed me actually for Planes, Trains, and Canes. I do want to do that. That's
Oh,
like
I would be. Well, let's
great because I wanted to ask you, but yeah.
well, you don't need to. You don't need to because I'm going to invite myself. So there you go.
Excellent, Aaron. Excellent.
I don't shy away from interviews. Trust me. I actually if someone else is interviewing me, that's even more exciting than me interviewing you. You know, that's a lot more fun for me actually. It's super fun for me to be able to produce the content as me produce,
Nice.
but I totally love being interviewed. I'm although I don't come across as open, I actually am quite approachable, as far as being.
I believe it. Yeah, I would love to have you. Are you kidding? You're like, you're on the list. I was gonna ask, but you kind of beat me to the punch with the idea. I was
Well,
like,
wait a minute. Okay, we got to clarify something just for record. We are being recorded. What position am I in on the list?
I'm basically interviewing everybody who's interviewed me. I was like, it'd be really cool to ask them what they enjoyed about Planes, Trains, and Canes.
Okay.
And you're in order. So you're like in the order of people who've asked. So.
Okay, but you're still engineering my question. What number am I on?
But I honestly haven't organized it to be 100% honest with you.
Okay,
I'm not that organized right now.
Okay, so now this solidifies. So when you write the list, number one, you're gonna put number one, Aaron Richmond, colon. Aaron
got it. Okay, got it.
Right. Okay. Just to clarify, I don't mind if I'm number like 63 or 805, but I gotta move.
I don't think we have that many, Aaron. So don't worry. It's like number 5, maybe max.
Okay. Whoops. Okay, it slipped out. I'm number 5. Okay, there's 4 people ahead of. Okay. See, guys, with sometimes with engineers with
no, but I genuinely don't know. I really don't know. I haven't organized.
I love to be sarcastic. I love to make my guests sweat a little bit. Love to have a very humorous, very entertaining episode. Of course.
Nice.
But yeah, that would be awesome. I would highly recommend that you expand it that way and just do more podcasting. I mean, there's so many academic things you can do there's so many different ways you could spin a podcast. But anyway, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining me on this.
Thank you for having me. Really, I enjoyed it.
My pleasure. And I really enjoyed the privilege of being able to speak to you. And quite frankly, so will my community, my private community over on WhatsApp. They'll love your channel. They'll love what you do. No questions asked. But of course, I've asked all of my questions. I think this was an amazing recording. Know that you're forever welcome on Aaron's Opinion, the most open podcast on iTunes. And if you can ask me only one question, and for you, I'm going to expect a really good one. Question.
Man, Aaron, put me on the spot. What is
this? One question to see if I'm really worth my salt, to see, to really make me sweat. What's one question you're going to ask me? Here, I'll cut you a break. I'll take a sip of coffee while you think of it.
So wait, is the goal to make you sweat, or is it to get to know you better? I'm glad I made you laugh. Be careful with the coffee, man.
I guess it's both. I guess.
Oh, can I ask you one of each, maybe?
Okay, sure.
Okay. If you had, this is kind of like predictable because I'm on the spot right now. But if you had $25,000 to do an ambitious thing, something that would push your own boundaries, what would you do?
Outstanding.
Had to, right?
Sure. Let me just preface this. I'm going to answer, but it's important. It's actually really important that I say this out loud. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be overly clear with the listener and with you and with everyone at home. Okay. although I have a Patreon, I never create podcasts with the intent of generating income. Okay. I create podcasts with the intent of the enjoyment of the art of podcasting as a hobby. Like Mona, I'm a teacher. Okay. Quite frankly, I don't have time to make it a job. However, if given $25,000,
Like the Holman Prize.
I would invest a lot of that money into one of the biggest problems that we've spent a lot of time on this show talking about. And if you go back to my channel, you'll see that I've talked about a lot of social issues, is that I'm kind of fed up with the fact that there are too many blind people who are really not living the lives they want and are not working and are just, as I said before, being discriminated too much. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I'm admitting to you, I have some pretty harsh opinions. So I would use that money to actually somehow find a way of passing new laws in the United States that would basically either force blind people into gainful employment or to force employers to hire blind people in gainful positions. So I would take that capital, that $25,000, and basically put it back into the economy with the only intent of helping other blind people to reach gainful employment, to be the next PhD.
Yeah, but I wanted to know though, like something, like
Yeah.
my question wasn't really about the money as much as what would be an activity or something that you would do that is outside of your comfort zone, your personal comfort zone.
Okay, but I mean, okay, so you were saying, okay. So you meant what was something that I would only do for myself that would be out of my own comfort zone for myself, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't clarify. Yeah.
No, that wasn't clear at all. Because if I was given that, I would help others. Is what I would do. That's that's getting out of your comfort zone, right? To help literally thousands of people to pass new laws in the country. I don't know. For me, that's just an issue that I think needs to be addressed. So for me, that's an issue.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you.
But no, I don't know. In my own life, if given that chance, I would certainly do some. I would do some traveling, and then I would, I'd probably start my own company, doing something something to that effect. Yeah.
Okay.
Was that the sweat question, or was that the?
Honestly, it was kind of like the sweat question plus getting to know you. I decided that it's good enough for now. I was gonna ask you what your deepest dream is, but I think you kind of answered that for me.
Oh, okay. I answer what? No, actually, I didn't answer. Can
answer. Yeah, I thought
see, it's all about. It's interesting. In podcasting, it's all about the questions we ask, right? If you don't ask a question, the host or guest will not give the answer. It is true. My deepest dream, just to clarify, for myself, my deepest dream is for me to have my very own pet pigeon or pet parrot. I adore birds, but that has nothing to do.
I had a pet duck, by the way, for 2 years.
And then what?
Oh, that's kind of a sad story.
Oh, okay.
I can tell it, but like.
So we're gonna end on a sad story? No, let's not do that.
Okay.
No, let's not.
The duck had a beautiful, full life, but then the duck died laying an egg, which is really sad.
Oh, she was egg bound, probably.
Oh God.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So we start with the engineering, and then we talk about an egg bound duck. Okay. That was quite an odd way to end quite an amazing, definitely controversial, definitely personal, definitely a great listen tonight with Mona Minkora, professor of bioengineering, but she's more knowledgeable about chemistry, so she can just say chemistry. She can teach you chemistry. Just to clarify, in case someone was going to sign up for your class,
Just in case.
Just with no, I mean with the intent that they will, and hopefully they will see this and that they will love what you do and that they will be more interested in signing up, right? So if someone wants to contact you, do you want to give a plug?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's really good. I'm really bad at that part of.
Oh, that's
So thanks for
that's the
reminding
best.
me.
That's the best part. Hmm.
I'm really bad at it. So if you want to learn more about what I do, I have a website, monamankara.com. That's
Just click click
MONAMINKARA.
click the click the link in the
Oh yeah,
description.
click the link below, but just in case.
I tell you what, I'll put the YouTube channel in the description. Does that lead them to your website if they wanted to find your website through that?
Actually, I'm not 100% sure right now because I have 2 YouTube channels, 3 websites.
Okay.
I have a Planes, Trains, and Canes website, a Mona Makara website, and a Combined Lab website.
We'll decide in a minute. So either way, click the link, click whatever link I tell you guys to click on.
Just click, guys. Just click Mona Makara.
Just click it and hope for luck. If you get one of those error page not found things, just keep clicking. Right. Okay.
Just Google blind scientist. I come up.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it would still be okay. That's cool, but it would still be easier to click the link in the description. All right. Okay. This was
I like it.
this was a very likable, very endearing episode. For questions, comments, and complaints.
Wait, Aaron, I have one more question.
Yeah, okay, whoa. Okay, she had one more question.
Okay, so your podcast is Aaron's opinion. So what is your opinion?
About what?
Well, I don't it's Aaron's opinion. What is your opinion? Just
about my opinion is that I'm extremely impressed with you, Mona, and that I've done a lot of traveling. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll go on like a trip or something. Our channels will like go on a trip together or something like that.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I can tell you a little bit more about it off the air another time. But my opinion is that you're doing an amazing job. You're a 5-star professor, totally a 5-star professor at Northeastern University.
Oh, you're too kind. That's not what I was going for, but thank you.
And believe me, I would gladly sign up for your classes, but believe me, you don't want me in that class.
Are you gonna cause trouble? What's gonna happen, Aaron?
I am so illiterate in sciences you wouldn't. At this point I am unteachable in that field. But I thank you. From the bottom of my heart for being a professor in that field, for being a blind leader, being a blind professor. And yeah, guys, if you guys know anyone out there, if you know someone who should watch this video, send it out to them.
Please do.
Yeah, because I'm getting the impression that you wanted to have more of a response from your channel, and I had never heard of you until my friend mentioned you. I had never heard of you at all. Understanding, it's really fascinating. We live in the same country, but one blind person near Washington D.C. doesn't hear about another blind person in Massachusetts unless someone in the middle tells them.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my opinion. And that was a great episode as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
So peace.
All right. So click the link in the description for her. But for questions, comments, complaints, 1240-681-9869. Aaron's Opinion 6@gmail.com. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, even consider becoming a patron on my Patreon page. Comment below if you want. Mona, keep up your great work. I wish you the very best of health. And as we say here at Aaron's Opinion. Oh, by the way, do you have a slogan for your channel?
Oh, Planes, Trains, and Canes? No.
Okay.
I have a tagline, Mona Minkara, vision is more than sight. But
That's a good one. But here at this podcast, thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow.